What's going on, guys? This is going to be our Spider-Man Far From Home review. We unfortunately did not get around to doing this back in 2019, so that's why we are doing it now, obviously in prep for Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, reviews have already been pouring out for this film because there was a premiere last night, a world red carpet premiere. I'm not going to be going over what has been going on that. Don't want to ruin that for Jason, but I am seeing a special screening tomorrow night thanks to Greg Alba and John Humphrey of Real Rejects, so I want to thank them for that. And I'm looking very forward to it. But getting into this movie now, a lot of people are very divisive when it comes to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. In terms of, I think we can all agree we love his interpretation of it, but a lot of people think he's just Iron Man Jr. Doesn't really, focus on Uncle Ben. Just relies more on the tech of Iron Man and all that. And I can definitely see and understand where some of that argument comes, but. For me personally, I mean, when it comes to Homecoming, I mean, I didn't really see Tony Stark personally as a mentor. I mean, he was in the film for about like 12, 15 minutes, and obviously we know he took away the suit. Peter had to learn a lesson not to rely on that suit with all the tech and all that. And, again, he learned his lesson, got the suit back, and then obviously Avengers Infinity War used the Iron Spider suit. And then now in this film, what I like about this film, even though we don't focus a ton on Uncle Ben, other than taking the suitcase that has his name on it. I like that this film is really trying to break away from the shadow of Iron Man, where Peter Parker is just trying to become his own man, trying to become the Spider-Man we all know and love. And that's what I really appreciate about this film. And, it's a bold move. And, again, just because Peter is obviously haunted by what happened in Avengers Endgame. So that's one of the things I appreciate. And I really got to say, too, when it comes to Mysterio, I'm not a huge fan of his motivation. I mean, obviously, the two villains we've gotten so far in these films have been, both from, they both were pissed off at Tony Stark. Obviously, when it comes to Adrian Toomes, he lost everything. So it was his motivation I totally, could sympathize with and get. I get why, Quentin Beck, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, is pissed off at Tony Stark. He called his thing barf and fired him. So I get it. It's not a motivation I personally grasp to or sympathize with. It's just generic to me. But having said that, Jake Gyllenhaal is fantastic. The interactions and chemistry between him and Tom Holland are terrific, and some of the visuals and the action sequences are just unbelievable. We're gonna get more into it. I'm gonna let Jason go here before he gets mad at me.
No, it's all good. I like this movie. I think it's I don't think it's one of the top Marvel movies, but I think it's fine. I think it's good. I do
What
like
about Spider-Man movies? Sorry to cut you off. What about Spider-Man movies, not Marvel movies? Just in general, Tobey and Andrew Garfield.
I mean, the thing I like about this particular iteration of Spider-Man more so than the others, like I think Tom Holland's great, but I feel like it really emphasizes the fact that Spider-Man is a kid and like it's him dealing with all the stuff that he can't do that he wants to do like as a kid. Like obviously in the first one it's all the homecoming like dance and high school stuff, and this one it's wanting to like, do stuff with MJ and go on his class trip that he can't do, but he has all these Spider-Man duties. So I think these films really do a good job of like portraying the fact that he's actually like a really young kid. He's not an older guy like most of the other Avengers and other heroes. So the other movies don't do that at all. Like Tobey Maguire's 40 in Spider-Man. He looks like he's 40. So maybe I'm exaggerating.
Yeah, and Andrew Garfield in the second movie looks a lot older. He doesn't look like a high school kid.
Well, not even that. He is like a kid, but like they don't. That's not really a focus of the movie. Of like I like this one. I mean, obviously the first two Spider-Man movies are really good. I really like Homecoming, but I think this one's like right in there with them. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I personally like Homecoming a little more than this film.
I do too.
But having said that, I still enjoyed this film. I thought it was a worthy, addition to the Spider-Man just film series in general, just from the Tobey and the Andrew series.
Yeah.
And I think Tom Holland does a great job. And like I said, I really love the chemistry and the interactions between him and Quentin Beck. Also, too, you mentioned how Tom Holland really is a kid or his Peter Parker is a kid. I also love how, being a kid, you trust people and you're very you're not aware of your surroundings in the world, and he's so easily and dismissive to trust this guy he really doesn't know, other than get Nick Fury's blessing that this guy is here to save the world, and he sees visually what he can do. But to blindly trust this man and give him that technology that Tony gave him with the glasses, or was it Edith? Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
I believe, yeah. Even dead, I'm the hero, whatever it was called. But and that's why I appreciate these films. Is like you mentioned, he's still a kid, and that's something a kid would do, and that's what they really nailed. And I do love that these first two films, with Homecoming and with Far From Home, they really nail that they're coming of age films
yeah.
disguised as superhero films.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's the whole point is that he's a kid learning to become a man, so that's by definition coming of age. So, well, I'm curious to see how obviously this next movie, like, I think some of that might be out the window just because all the craziness going on. But we'll see. But that's probably the aspect I like the most out of these two Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, they're pretty. I mean, obviously, we got other MCU characters from Nick Fury and Maria Hill, and in the first movie with Tony Stark. But for the most part,
Technically not, but yeah.
but I mean, my point is they're pretty self-contained. Where we know No Way Home is going to be bonkers crazy with lots of characters.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do appreciate again the scale of these films and the stakes, and just again the arc that Peter Parker has to go through, and the lessons he has to learn from in these first two films, and especially in this one as well. I do think thought it was a really cool and interesting choice as well, going away from New York City. We did have that for a scene or so in Homecoming when he goes to Washington D.C. for the was it the decathlon or whatever that
Yeah.
was that they did, the school trip. But having basically the whole film be in Europe in this one, I thought that was a very interesting choice to do, because we've never seen a Spider-Man film where he's basically gone. I mean, we've obviously, I'm talking Spider-Man film. I didn't say an Avengers film where Spider-Man goes into space like to
Or Germany.
Thanos's. Right. Oh, right. Sorry, Civil War. My bad. I'm talking about a Spider-Man focused film where he goes out in New York City. That's all I'm talking about. And I
Yeah.
thought that was an interesting and bold choice. And for this film, I thought it worked. He's definitely out of his element, obviously. And also, again, I just love how again, the interactions he has with Quentin Beck, I just really thought that really worked. Again, his motivation for me was very generic, going to Tony Stark there, and I get why they went that route, but again, that was very generic and was a little bit of a blemish for me in this film. Having said that, Jake Gyllenhaal was fantastic, and obviously we know he was almost cast as Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2 when Tobey Maguire almost didn't do it after his injury to Seabiscuit in 2000 in Gary Ross's 2003 Seabiscuit. So it was interesting to see him back now, or finally in a Spider-Man film. Granted, as a villain, we obviously, if any of you know who Mysterio is, he was going to be the villain. That wasn't really a twist in the film, but I just
Right.
like the way I look at it is it's kind of a twist of a knife to Peter in terms of he trusted this guy, and he was kind of looking at him as a not a father figure, because obviously no one can step in the shoes of Tony for him and Tony Stark's shoes, but kind of just like more like a mentor and a brother in terms of that's how I interpreted it. But just to get that twist of the knife like that, so fresh after what happened to Tony, I really felt that for Peter, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the trailers played it up. Obviously, I don't watch so many trailers, but you kind of figured he was going to be the villain, but then he wasn't in the beginning of the movie. But like, you're right, it wasn't that much of a twist, but I did enjoy the way that they did it. It was kind of interesting. Them like, like you said, it's generic motivation, but the way they revealed it was kind of cool. I thought, even though it was not what I was expecting. But I actually really liked him too in the movie as a villain, and that scene near the end where he's like making Peter see all that crazy stuff was giving me
Oh,
straight
love
like
that.
Doctor Strange type visual
Oh,
vibes. So that was
yeah. No,
really cool for
those
sure.
were. I agree. That's a great comparison. I really had not thought about that, but you were so trippy and acidy, and that's what Mysterio
Yeah,
is to me. From the '90s cartoons to the comics, like when I think of Mysterio, I think of trippy acid, kind of like Doctor Strange. So that's a great. Honestly, that's a great comparison. I had not even thought put the two and two together. So great. Seriously, great comparison, Jason. And yeah, no, I mean some of the visuals in this film when it comes to the Mysterio visuals, some of my favorite, not only in a
really good.
Spider-Man film, just in any MCU film. I really appreciated them, and every time I rewatch, I love those two sequences where they're fighting each other. Obviously, we know in the first battle, Spider-Man loses, gets hit by that train, and the second battle too, where he's using the with the Peter tingle. Uh,
Yeah.
I love that sequence too. Two great visual sequences, and again, Peter just learning how to use his abilities to fight Quentin Beck and fight the drones and all that. Just really good stuff in there, and the action sequences were terrific. It was nice to see Happy Hogan back in this as well, the guy who started
Yeah.
the MCU, and Jon Favreau. I liked his chemistry and relationship with Aunt May. Obviously, they didn't go into it too much. That wasn't really the focus of the film. It was more of a side plot. But having said that, I still
It was part of
appreciate
it.
it. Yeah, but I still appreciate that, and you can tell. Obviously, he did. We know he cared about Peter in Homecoming, albeit he was a little more annoyed with him for most of
Yeah.
the film. But obviously, he still deep down cared about Peter. And in this film, like you can tell how much he really cares about him. I'm very interested to see in No Way Home that relationship just continue to evolve more. I'm really worried, in my opinion, just. I don't want to go into it about Jon Favreau's character, but I don't
It's
want to.
possible.
Yeah, I don't want to. Sorry, Jason. I've watched trailers, you haven't, but we'll just keep it
It's
at
always
that.
it's always I mean, it's always possible.
But in terms of Aunt May's relationship and Peter, I didn't care for it in this film. In Homecoming, I thought they did a great job in terms of after Peter Parker gets his suit taken away by Tony, and then Aunt May like really gets into just really lets Peter have it for a second, and then just really starts doing things with him, from teaching him how to do the waltz and the tie, and just saying like cut the crap. I know you've been skipping. Like those are the moments I love between Aunt May and Peter Parker. Like those are what I live for. And that's to
Right.
me Peter Parker and Aunt May. And obviously, he's in Europe in this film, and she's back in New York, so we can't really get some of those moments. So that's why I didn't care for the Aunt May Peter relationship dynamic in this film. It wasn't there like it was in Homecoming, or even like it was with Sally Field and Andrew Garfield, or Tobey Maguire and Rosemary Harris in those films. Having said that, I still appreciated Marissa Tomei's performance, but again, that is an element that is missing to me, because that relationship is so impactful and so important to me when we talk about Peter Parker and Aunt May. That's one of the most important relationships to me when you talk about Spider-Man, for me personally. So that was definitely a
Yeah, I
missing
mean,
element in this film for me.
I think part of it was just because obviously he was not
Yeah.
around her. He
No,
was
no,
in
I
Europe.
get it.
But you're right. That whole relationship between them was just not even a thought really that much. A little bit in the beginning when he was like, he was doing the public speaking, or
Yeah.
like, but after that, yeah, it wasn't really much of a thing. So I agree.
Yeah, and I even too, again, this is just a nitpick. I would have appreciated too, like, I know they were having that one scene, which I liked and all, but I would have appreciated too, like I'm not saying it would have advanced the plot or anything or serviced the story, but I would have appreciated like a conversation just talking about how they were both blipped out or both snapped out by Thanos, just like
Yeah.
coming back. But again, that's just nitpicking. Didn't
It's
ruin
character building.
yeah, just for me, I would have appreciated like just the elephant in the room. Like we were both gone for the last 5 years. Like thank God we're back together and whatever. But that's me.
But to
And
them, it didn't feel like 5 years. It felt like nothing. They didn't even
right. No.
experience it.
Of course, no. I get that. And I'm just saying, I just would have liked, like you said, just a character building scene of character moments for each of those two, where they just talk about it for a second, because that's definitely something worthy of talking about. That's all I'm saying.
One thing I did think was funny though was like when the much younger kid that they knew is now their age because they
Brad.
lived for 5 years, and like the whole scene where they have the really awkward student news thing showing the footage, and
Yeah.
I don't know, I like those really awkward guys. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, and also
and Ned's whole relationship is hilarious too.
Oh, Ned and Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was pretty. I mean, that's your typical teen romance in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very coming of age and very
Exactly.
reminiscent of what we dealt with in high school. So yeah, I appreciated that as well. And obviously, Brad's a douchebag, but the actor who played him did a great job. And yeah, and also too, I love that opening where they acknowledge all the fallen Avengers, and with Whitney Houston's song. I thought that was a great opening. And also too, we got to mention too, it is an MCU film, so of course we know there's going to be a balance between comedy, drama, and action. And I thought this film did a really good job with balancing the comedy in this film. I
Yeah.
thought there were some really good comedic moments and some good, a couple here and there were a little bit forced, but for the most part, it was very well balanced and it was right timing. Not too many moments where it's like I want to feel the drama here and it's just it's excluded out immediately and I can't feel it because of a comedic moment. So I thought it was very well balanced in this film, and I did like again, like I said, I thought it was really well done in this film.
Yeah, and overall, like I said, not like, an outstanding MCU movie, but like just a really good
A
one.
solid.
It's
It's
in
a
its
solid.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Anything else you want to add before we finish this, Jason?
Nope. Looking forward to not having to cover my eyes when trailers come up on TV for
No
No
Way
Way
Home.
Home. So
Yeah, well, stay off the internet for another day or two, man.
yeah, especially these next couple days. Yeah, I'm gonna be careful.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also hit that bell notification. We, of course, are going to be doing a non-spoiler review and a spoiler talk for Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you hit that bell notification, you will be notified immediately when we upload those videos. So until then, we will see you guys next time.